Hello, my name is Woody. This is Change in the House of Pods, a podcast about Deftones. My guest today is Benno Levine from Venom, one of my absolute favorite bands. Benno also releases music under the name Venom Benzo. This is from his latest solo release, Fall to the Flow, Unredacted. That's The Occasion, Confession and All from Venom Benzo. If you're a Vane fan, you know Benno is not an original member of the band. He joined Vane after they released their massive album, Error Zone, and the story of how he was invited to be in the band is incredible. It's going to blow your mind. And parts of his story might make you think of Frank Delgado, who Benno says is a big inspiration to him. And while he was not yet with Vane when they played the first Dia de los Deftones, he was in the band the second time I ever caught them, Saturday, May 18th, 2019. My buddy Graham and I flew to Chicago to catch the first day of the Chicago Open Air Festival. Listen to this lineup. Vane, Knocked Loose, Code Orange, Beartooth, Meshuggah, Ghost, and System of a Down. That was just the first day, and frankly, it was enough for us. So we flew to Chicago that Friday. Actually, we missed our flight because we were having cocktails in the terminal, but at any rate, that was the start of our adventure. The next day, we got to the festival, and it was a monsoon. I'm talking torrential downpours, and people were lined up around the stadium in the pouring rain. For so long, we didn't know if the show was ever going to happen. But it did. Eventually, the gates opened, and we learned the first three bands, really the bands we wanted to see most, Vane, Knocked Loose, and Code Orange, had been cut from the day. I can't tell you how disappointed we were. I mean, Meshuggah definitely made up for some of that, but we were bummed. And then, sometime during Meshuggah's set, which was amazing, we learned that Vane, Knocked Loose, and Code Orange were going to play a midnight show across town at the Metro in Chicago, and that Harm's Way was jumping on the bill. So we had to make a decision. Were we going to bail in the middle of System of a Down to catch an Uber across town after pretty much the longest day ever, standing out waiting in the rain to get in the festival? Hell yeah, we were. And it was the best decision ever. That's where we're starting today. This is my conversation with Benno Levine.
Dude, that's funny that you bring that one up because I was going through some, I was just throwing out old stuff, and I had kept the laminate kind of, or whatever, they give you like a sticker or something from that show, and I was looking at it and I was like, fuck, sorry, I can curse, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
There's no problem. Okay, all right. And I was like, man, this show was so much fun. I enjoyed, I think the way that day went was better than it was initially, how it was initially supposed to go. You know what I mean? We were supposed to play Chicago Open Air, and it got rain, like a huge storm happened or whatever. And I enjoyed that show so much. It was so much fun. Man, it's hard to think about now because times are so different, but I don't know.
as a concert goer, you guys, Knocked Loose, Code Orange, that first half of the day was as exciting as Meshuggah and System. You know what I mean? When we saw that show got announced at the Metro, we chose to, because it was a whole hour across town, right? We cut out a System halfway through their set to get over there and wait, because we had been standing out in the rain and we're freezing our asses off then outside of the Metro.
Oh, no.
But dude, it was so worth it. That was easily the most insane show that I've ever been to in my life.
Oh, I'm so glad you had a good time, man. Because it was so much fun. There was, oh my God. I don't know if you remember this from that show, but I had a couple samples that the guys were like, yo, put that on. They were like, put a Tupac sample on, start the set off with Me Against the World. So we came out to Me Against the World by Tupac, which was cool. And we sampled, because we were in Chicago and we were playing the Metro, we were like, got to sample Wesley Willis. So we sampled, I think we might have sampled Rock and Roll McDonald's or something like that. I expected more people to get it, but I don't know. It was a silly thing to do. But It was fun. It was just it was like lighthearted. It was fun.
It was such a strange experience being dog ass tired, you know what I mean? Like after that long day, wondering if the show was even going to go on, you know what I mean? And then like waiting out in line. There was like scant communication from the festival organizers to concert goers who were lined up outside that stadium. And then like hearing that you guys were going to do that show that night, and then Harm's Way getting added on top of the bill, like it just changed.
Yeah.
Like you said, it was better than it was supposed to be. It really was.
And I got to say that, you know, Harm's Way getting added to that show definitely made the day better. That whole tour prior, we were on a tour with Killswitch Engage and Parkway Drive. Like I had been listening to Harm's Way like every day, and then for the last show, for them to just like get put on the show at the Metro, was like, oh my, it's a dream. It's a dream. All those bands, it was so much fun. They're also so cool and great people.
It was really exciting to see the social media response afterwards too. Like people were like, this is the package we want. Like we want this tour. Like we want this from top to bottom. People were geeked. I mean, that would be an insane tour. I don't know if people could handle multiple nights of that tour. That'd be a lot, man.
It would be so much fun. Any tour sounds so much fun right now, but especially that one. That would be a blast. That was, and yeah, the way that show went was like, if we could get a tour of that would be something.
So, forgive me. When and how did you join Vein?
Oh yeah, no, it's no problem. It's kind of a weird story. So in fall of 2018, I was a cover DJ for a local radio station over here called KXLU. So like if anybody was like out sick or couldn't make it, got caught in traffic, you know, what some shit, they would just call me to like cover. And I wasn't like a good DJ. I just loved music. So I would just play all sorts of stuff for like 3 hours. And I was like really into Vein. I love what they were doing. And I knew that the drummer, Matt, he makes like solo music under the name Virtual Death. And I thought it was just fucking awesome. So I would play it. I tagged him in an Instagram post. And we messaged back and forth like so little, such a minuscule amount. I went to go see them. This was on they were on tour with Every Time I Die, Angel Dust, and Turnstile at the time.
Jesus.
So I went to go see them, and I ended up running into, dude, it was a great show. But after their set, I ended up meeting Matt, and we just talked for like an hour probably about like music. I didn't expect him really to give me the time of day. I thought he would go, oh, thanks for playing my stuff on the radio, and just dip out. You know, they're busy. I understand. But, you know, he stayed and talked, and he gave me his phone number and was like, yo, hit me up, send me some music. And then a couple days later, they played LA. I went and saw them again, and he introduced me to Anthony, and we talked. It was just like, you know, becoming friends type thing. And just met him. We talked about music and movies and things like that. They played. It was great. Maybe like 2 or 3 weeks goes by. I don't really hear much from them. And I'm like, all right, you know, it's cool to meet them. And I really enjoyed their time, you know, and whatever. And then I'm at work and I get a text. Matt's like, yo, how are you doing? By the way, would you want to join the band and be on samples and all that? I nearly just like passed out. I was at work on my break, and I was like, my whole world just changed at that moment. It was like I walked through a portal. After that, booked a flight, quit the job, and was like, I'm going to do this now. I had to like cancel all sorts of stuff that I had planned because I was in other bands. And then I just did that. So basically like winter of 2018. So I didn't mean to make that so long, but that was that's
what podcasts are for. Podcasts are for long stories. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. I know. I'm not necessarily used to it. So forgive me.
No, but, dude, that's so dope. That's insane. That's insane.
It was such a surreal feeling because it was like, you know, the way I felt about Vein prior to even knowing them was like, wow, this band is so special. I don't know. I couldn't even put my finger on it. I was like, there's something about this band that like, it's just resonating with me. I know I'm not the only one who's thought that, where it's like, you know, not to like toot our own horn or anything, or, you know, blow smoke up the guy's ass too much, but like, I don't know. There's something I really resonated with the band. and it felt like a fate moment, kind of, that we linked, you know, like that. And they didn't know that I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. That's another thing. They asked me to do something I had no knowledge of doing, and so I just had to learn it on the fly. So
Wait a minute. So you never done, and
it was
I
pretty
was going to
scary,
ask
but
too,
and it
like,
still is kind of scary.
I don't even understand. So like when you say like you're doing samples, like tell me what are you doing?
So, I mean, when I first started, they gave me like a layout of samples, like, okay, you're gonna hit these during certain song, like I don't know, just random stuff. Like we have a song called Terrace Realm, and I play like a video. There's like a video game sound and like a baseball bat, and I'll hit that in the rhythm of like Matt's drumming, and or I'll there's a song called Progenitor, and I have to hit like I think another Resident Evil sample, some video game, just during the set, and then while they're tuning, play an interlude. And when I first joined, I was just kind of like doing the stuff that they had already made, but as time has gone on, I've put my own input, made my own samples that I hit during certain songs, and the turntable too got added, which has been cool. And but yeah, it's just because I was so new at it in the beginning, it was just like, just do what they do, get good at that, be a sponge. If anybody's got any sort of advice, or if you can learn anything, just to take it all in so you can make the live experience just a little bit better,
That's so ill.
That's what I do.
Story, dude. That's so dope. And as somebody who, comes from a radio background, like I can see how there is sort of a similar transferable skill set potentially, you know what I mean? Playing drops on the radio or what have you. But
yeah,
what a trip. Were you stoked to quit when you quit your job?
Yeah, because I was already like hating it so much. I'm sorry. I made some of the best, like I have some like amazing friends from that time, and it wasn't even like that bad of a job. I was working at a retail art store, and it was just getting so boring. I'd been working there for like 2 years, and that's not that long, but at the same time, I was just like, wow, music is my main love in life. I've been playing in bands since I was like 13, 14 years old, roughly. And that's all I wanted to do. And every time I was at work, I was like, damn, like, I just wish I could be playing a show or on tour or stuff like that. And I was thinking about quitting just to really focus on that. And then right around that time, while I'm at work, I get asked to join a band that's already got touring lined up and things like that. So it was, I still am so thankful for, to the guys for just taking a chance on me, because I there were times where I thought, I'm not gonna, they're gonna kick me out or whatever. Like they're gonna figure out that I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like I've never made a song on the computer, let alone scratch a record. Like, you know what I mean? But we ended up just like bonding so much. I feel like I found a really, really great group of guys. So
man, that's so cool. What a tremendous story. Awesome. That's so awesome. What an amazing story. That's really cool. And in some ways, not to be a super goon about it, but like in some ways it sort of makes me think about like Frank Delgado from Deftones.
Well, I mean, segue into that. I mean, Frank, his style and his setup is part of the reason why, like, I mean, I like to think it's part of the reason why I'm doing what I do in the band, but also like why we got the turntable. It was the first 2 tours that I did with the band, I didn't have it. And I was talking to Anthony, and he was like, it'd be sick if you had a turntable because you could do like sounds and all that. And I was like, yeah, it'd be cool. And the main guy I was kind of had in the back of my mind was like, well, Frank does like, the way that he does it is so like, he's got that real, like, I mean, I don't want to put words in his mouth or speak for him, but he's got that like DJ mindset of just do what will add to the vibe, not just like, and this, not saying like other people scratching over metal is like dumb. I think it's awesome, but like the way that he does it just adds like a whole, if you listen to their albums, it's like a world, better than I do. Also, I think I'm probably the least worthy in the band to speak on Deftones, even though I do think they're amazing. They're just everybody in the band is sort of like a super fan, and I'm a little bit, I would say newer, 4-year listener, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope though. I think that's cool that everybody in the band is into it, and then you getting put onto it, getting inspired by them. I think that's I think that's a really cool story. Like that's singular, you know what I mean?
Well,
Especially how similar, or well, potentially, I guess, similar your situation or your circumstances are, joining the band after they're sort of established, and like that's really cool. Like
yeah,
that's
no,
fucking
he's
amazing.
definitely inspiring to me on that level too, because yeah, he joined in like while they were just getting like just absolutely blowing up. Very similar situation. But yeah, we used to I mean, we still do, like we'll watch that footage of them playing Bazaar Festival, I think it is. Chino's got the blonde, or he's got the bleached hair. Frank, like, I don't know, just him just being there is just like, it's like, yeah, that's cool. He's doing
Yeah,
ill
totally.
shit.
I can't help but ask too about 20 seconds, 20 hours.
20
It's
seconds, 20 hours.
Man, that song that was on all of my end of year lists, and it's such a cool song. Are there some samples on that?
There are, see, that was another thing that, I don't want to take credit for that. That's not, that's, the, that's those guys before,
Sure.
I was in the band. But when we
You-
played it live, I like had it on my sample pad and did some little effects to it and did a little bit of scratching over it. But on the actual recording, I'm not 100% sure though. That's those guys' genius for
That's
sure.
cool.
I love that song. I think the guys did a amazing job pulling that one off for sure.
I think it's dope how big of a fan you are of the guys in your band.
Oh yeah, I'm gotta give respect to my brothers for sure. I'm not trying to like, you know, I think there's bigger Vane fans than there are so many bigger Vane fans than me. Like, I feel like that's part of the reason why they put me in the band. Maybe, I don't know. Like if they had just picked some guy who's like knows everything about their personal life or everything about them, it would be kind of
It
weird.
would
I,
be kind
I
of
was like,
hard.
sorry, you know what I mean? But
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get invited to join Deftones anytime soon.
I mean, you never know. You never know. But I can't take credit for that song. That song is
Well,
is amazing
it's
by them.
certainly not credit that I'm looking to offer you by any means, but I think that your insight is what I'm really
Oh yeah.
certainly tuned into, because like you said, you've been playing it live, like you've been doing, and it's such a singular song. I mean, I feel like all of the Vane songs are just so unique to your sound. Like it's singular. It's really cool. So the
Yeah.
guys got you into Deftones. You've only been into
They
Deftones for like 4 years or so, you say?
yeah, so they didn't get me into Deftones. I was into
Oh,
Deftones
okay.
before I joined the band. But
Okay.
so growing up I was like huge, like very big on, like, sure, a lot of people were like new metal stuff. Like Korn and Slipknot were like my favorite bands as an 11, 12-year-old. But Deftones always was like kind of, they always kind of missed me. I think it's because I was just like such a fucking, I was a little kid and I was like, I just need something like loud and extremely angry. It can't have like these, it can't have incredible singing parts, anything like that. Which is funny because I got super into Incubus in high school. Like Incubus, from the time I was like 17 to now, is one of my favorite. The Science, Make Yourself, Morning View. Even before that, Fungus Among Us, stuff like that. Loved, which it was not the same as Deftones, but it's in a similar realm. And then I went to a show and picked up a free copy of the Escape from LA soundtrack. And like I just
That's
picked it up.
awesome.
I looked at it and I was like, oh, Ministry, Sugar Ray. Like I didn't never even seen the movie to this day, but Deftones has the last song and it's Can't Even Breathe. I put it on and I was like, it like changed my fucking life. I was like, oh my God, why didn't anybody tell me? I was like kind of mad. I was like, everybody showed me like a Deftones song that was like a more, I don't know the word, atmospheric kind of Deftones song, which isn't bad. I can appreciate that more now. But as a younger kid, I was like, I need to hear Slipknot. I need to hear a blast beat or something like that. But Can't Even Breathe was like, oh, this is it. So I bought Around the Fur, and it just lived in my car for a really long time. And I saw that on an earlier podcast that you did. You talked about MX. Like that was, I was like, this song is incredible. I love like heavy down tune, like slow stuff. So I was like, this is, all right, I really like this band. And from then on, rest is history, I guess.
So Around the Fur, it sounds like, was the first one that you really connected with, like the first album that you really connected with.
Yeah, definitely. Around the Fur was like, that was definitely the one that I fell in love with for sure. That made me like really pay like a lot of attention to Deftones, you know.
Do you remember if you went back with to Adrenaline from there, or do you remember if you went forward with Pony?
I went White Pony, and I bought it before I left for Massachusetts to meet up with Vane. And the second day of me being there, it was like snowy out, and nobody was really doing anything. So I was like, I'm just going to take a walk and listen to White Pony. So I walked through the snow and like went to this, like, I had never been to Massachusetts before either. So just listen to White Pony by this lake, and it was really cool. And then when I told everybody that was the first time I listened to it, I got a little bit of shit, but okay. They were like, wow, you just listened to that now? Like,
you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna get fired before I get hired.
Yeah, I was like, oh, one more reason for me to get canned. I'm a fraud. Oh no.
Dude, what a great time though to get into that album. Like, that album is transcendent and transfer, like it is a different experience for their catalog, but it's a different experience when you listen to it. It's like it's transformative for you to have that time in your life and then like get to experience White Pony for the first time. That's pretty fucking special.
It was really special, and it also made me realize, like, it doesn't matter when you get into something, as long as you appreciate it for what it is. It's like, it's just a great album. It's timeless. Though, I mean, I'm not as big into Adrenaline as the other first three, the other ones.
Yeah.
But they're timeless albums. I have utmost appreciation for all of them and their contributions.
Do you have a favorite off of White Pony? Any favorites?
Right now, I mean, this is how I know that I love an album. It always changes, but right now, Korea for sure, definitely. Yeah. Korea is my favorite one. Yeah. At first, it was Streetcar, and then Korea for sure.
Those definitely are such dope songs. That's cool that you connect with those. In the middle of the album. You know what I mean? Like, you're deep in there. You're in the middle of the world.
I feel like those are always my favorite types of songs in an album. Like, halfway through, or maybe like 3 songs before the end of the album, like those heavy songs that just are like they're so like somewhat aggressive but vulnerable at the same time. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, I think track 7, track 8, those are always the best ones.
Yeah,
track 7, 8, those are
definitely.
And Korea is like such a perfect Deftones song. Like, it's just Streetcar too. Like, they're both so, he's crooning and they're blasting, and you know what I mean? Like, it's God, I love those. So about that time, then you probably, like, Gore might have just come out or so. So did you sit with Pony for a while? Did you jump into the?
Yeah, I wasn't ready to go further. When I'm into an album, I'm just like, not like I was like ignoring it completely, or like purposely ignoring it, but I was like so dead focused. I'm just like that with bands. If I get into, if I'm gonna get into them, I'm gonna focus on, the early stuff and really study it. I'm not gonna just like pass it by and go, oh yeah, I'm a fan of the album, I'm a fan of the band, like without even really like paying attention to it and breaking it down, but not like trying to break it down in an overly critical way. Just seeing what I really like about it, and I had already done that with Around the Fur, because it just. Just by driving around, it just stayed in my car. So, but with White Pony, I was like, I have to like, really pay attention to it and figure out what I really love about this album.
Was that hard to do while joining Vane? Like, to figure out your place in the band and then also like consume other music?
Definitely. Yeah. It was just a hard time. It was a really fun time. Like, it was so much fun. Like, my first show, I had never even played in front of half the, because we were on tour with Thursday, and
shit, no way.
Yeah. And Thursday, there was so much pressure, man. Like, first of all, I wasn't like I didn't go into it like a huge Thursday fan, but our drummer Matt is like, that's like, I mean, Thursday are gods to him for sure. Like he loves Thursday, and I was like, oh my god, I better not mess up. Like, like I had all this pressure, and yeah, it was hard to listen to. It was a little bit hard to listen to other music. Although I did listen to like a lot of White Pony around that time. I was just listening to Arizona a lot to make sure like I remembered when to do certain things, or
Yeah.
But it was definitely nerve wracking. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna mess up. It's terrifying.
I remember after Arizona came out, and I host a metal show at a radio station, so I was like,
cool.
consuming massive amounts of metal, like it's going through as much as I could get my ears around, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that was another album where it was like what you're talking about with Pony, where it's like, okay, wait a minute, I gotta sit with this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No, that's awesome, man. That's cool, dude. Yeah, Arizona actually came out on my birthday. Oddly enough, that was another little fate moment. There were so many little fate moments before I joined the band, like but that was a big one for sure. Yeah, I felt the same way. Like I had to sit with Arizona. It was like one of the few albums that I actually like bought at a record store and paid for digitally. I was like, I need to like figure out why, it I love albums that can make me feel like partially insecure too. I was like, oh my god, this album, like, it does everything that I've ever wanted to do. Damn it, why?
Wow, that's a really interesting thing to say. It makes you feel a little insecure. How so?
It's good. Well, prior to being in Vain, I was in another band that was like kind of like a chaotic-y grindcore hardcore band, and we did like some break beats and stuff like that. We really like I've been into like breakcore, jungle and drum and bass and stuff, and I wanted to somehow incorporate that into this album that I was writing. And then I think May comes around, da, 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 Virus comes out and just like shattered my, like, I was like, oh, my idea has been done better than I could have thought of, doing it. I was like, fuck. And they're like roughly the same age as me. I was like, oh, damn. Like, and so it made me partially insecure, but that's good. I want things to always make me want to do better, or like listen to things that are pushing the envelope, in music or whatever. So
you've been playing in bands for since when?
So I started my first band when I was 13, which was like, just me and my friend playing like No Effects songs, and like and then me and my other friend, and when we were 14 and 15, tried to do like little Primacy songs, and like I was really into Fishbone, and like we were just like, oh, let's do all sorts of crap, like. But then I really started playing shows when I was like 15, 16, doing just like driving out to all sorts of different areas and writing my own songs. And
what were you playing? What
I played guitar, and I played bass in a band, and I did vocals in a band too.
Wow.
I've been doing it for a minute. I love it.
Does it trip you out that like now you're the, like, what would you call yourself? Are you like, if one guy's a guitarist and one guy's a singer or a vocalist, what do you call yourself?
I don't know. I'm cool with whatever. Sample guy, DJ, whatever. Anybody, people call me whatever. So I don't.
DJ is such a not appropriate word though either, right?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so either. But at the same time, what is an appropriate thing to, it's like I just do what I do,
It's really funny to think about, just, I don't know, and in social situations, maybe, you're at a cocktail party and you're introducing yourself to somebody or other bands, and you're just like, oh yeah, he's a guitarist, and yeah, and then that's better.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. People say like, oh yeah, he's our, I've been called the DJ, I've been called the sample guy, I've been called a noise guy, which is like, that's pushing it a little bit. I do I make some noises, but I'm not like with like thousands of effects pedals, like, I'm just like, I can't really say because I'm still figuring it all out as I go. I still think of myself as, and I am just like such a beginner at the shit. Like I'm just experimenting, with things. And
That's exciting. That's really exciting though, right? Because that doesn't limit you. Like,
no, yeah.
doesn't confine you to do anything. I feel like, especially from the new era bands who had a DJ,
Mm-hmm.
he scratched a record in the background, and it eventually was one of the chief things that like cornballed the shit out of new metal and ended it,
Yeah,
right? Like the
a little
rapper
bit.
and the DJ. Even though, like, yeah, it sounds like you got love for it. I got some love for it too. Like,
Oh
don't get me wrong, but
no,
that's
I
not
don't
what.
have love for all of it, but I do like growing up, like when I was like 11 and 12, dude, I used to watch, there's a video of Sid Wilson from Slipknot like scratching in his like living room, and people are like making it rain like $100 bills on him, and he's just freestyling. I used to think that was the coolest thing ever. I was like, wow, that is like, if I could just like learn how to do that someday. And all it took was just like breaking down my ego and saying, all right, you're just going to be a beginner for years, so just learn how to do it.
It is
But
pretty dope. DJs are dope.
yeah,
Let's not get it twisted. Like they do.
yeah,
Even
no,
even if you're just picking a cool song to play and you're not doing anything else, you're just going back and forth and playing cool songs.
yeah.
That's pretty smooth too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything else that you were like other than well, scratch that. Have you hit the other albums? Have you
Yeah.
got into like self-titled Saturday Night? What other ones are
So
like connecting, resonating with you?
the self-titled for sure was the other one. I move so slow, so forgive me for not, being
No,
like
don't be.
knowing everything about them, but like the self-titled, oh my fucking god. Like we were just driving one time and from Oklahoma, and they put it on, and it was like, I think this might be my favorite one. The tuning, it just sounds lower, and it has like a, I don't know, like it has like a sorrow to it. I think there's something about it that just, I think it was like a right place at the right time, but it's an incredible album. Like the self-titled one, like Death Blow, man.
Yeah.
you
I
know,
feel that. I totally feel that. Yeah, that's interesting that Death Blow is the first one that you mentioned. That's really cool.
I mean, I just like when I listen to an album, there's usually a song that like I just like have like a laser focus to, and definitely that one. Just love like the melody and something, I don't know, something about it, man.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. I think that album really connected with me in that time, like, when it came out. Like I remember all of that, like just hitting. But it wasn't until I think years later how heavy I realized that it was.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the sound, but like the content is, it's like really, it's strong even on those songs that are moodier.
Yeah.
And Death Blows, that's one of the heaviest, man. That's
Yeah. I mean, I always go to the heavier stuff personally. Not that I say it, I appreciate the softer stuff too, but yeah, Death Blow, man. And Bloody Cape for sure. Like
yeah.
that, just I love how it kind of starts off like the strumming, and then it's just like like
Yeah.
goes in. I love stuff like that. I love stuff that's like moody and sad, like very like filled with sorrow in a way, but also is like just like bursting with aggression as well. I think I love that style, and you captured it perfectly on those.
That's sick. Yeah, that's really, I think that's one of the hallmark things about Deftones. I always say that I love music that's either sexy as hell or super ballsy, like just
Yeah,
super, and
that's awesome, man.
that's what they do, right? Like that's Deftones.
Mhm.
It's either there's something that's just really
Yeah.
like, and it's not like the entire scope of what they do. That's not every color or everything, but in a
Mhm.
nutshell, like sexy and ballsy. And
Yeah,
and
totally.
I think about Death Blow too. Some interesting soundscapes
Yeah, yeah,
on that song.
definitely.
Is that something that you're paying attention to now? Like those
Oh,
atmospheric, like,
definitely. I never like, well, I wouldn't say never, but I definitely just kind of like let those things, put those to the side because I used to just be only a guitar player. So I would just think like, just be focusing more on the riffs or whatever. But now I really, especially with Deftones, I really try to like pay attention because sometimes it's like, it's just there. It's like surrounding the whole song. It's not like a Linkin Park song where it's just like right in your face, like,
right.
and I love Linkin Park. I'm not saying like it's bad. It's just very different. And so,
Totally.
and,
Totally.
and also I listen so I can try to do better, steal their ideas. No, I'm kidding.
I think if you're gonna steal, I think that's a great place to steal. I think it's an outstanding place to steal from.
Yeah.
Did you get to listen to Ohms yet? Have you soaked up the new album?
A little bit. I listened to that single that came out. Was that just called Alms with the
The
music
title
video?
track? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I listened to that. I thought it was cool. I mean, again, I'm still like
Yeah.
I'm in the past, but
You're in the weeds of the
yeah, I'm
nine. I
still
mean,
in the
it's
lead.
9 albums
I'm
deep.
not
It's a
gonna I'm
lot.
not gonna sit here and lie to you like, oh, I'm like the hugest like Deftones historian. I appreciate the band a lot, and they've had a lot like a I don't know. They've been a significant band in my journey in Maine for sure.
I think that's what counts, man. I don't think, and I think that's the cool thing about any Deftones fan is they're not one type of person. They're
Mm-hmm.
not getting into it at the same time. Not everybody is an adrenaline old head, and not everybody is like White Pony is the greatest album of all time. You know what I mean?
True.
Like there's plenty of access points, and I feel like not many gatekeepers. You know?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I love how broad their fan base is. I was actually having this talk with my friend the other day. I was like, damn, I don't know what other band. I mean, maybe there's somebody I'm forgetting, but I don't know what other band is so beloved by like the metal community and like the mainstream community as much as, Deftones is. I remember hearing Deftones on the radio, and then like my like really alternative friends in middle school and high school just like being like, oh, Deftones, like this is my favorite band, just like it's just universally good. It's just like I said before, it's timeless music. You know, good songs are good songs.
Yeah,
You know,
that's dope. Have you gotten the opportunity to see them live?
no, I wanted to go to the Dia de los Deftones thing, but I don't. I ended up not being able to go. I forget what happened, but that's why I went and saw them on the Every Time I Die tour. It's like,
Oh, word, sure,
yeah,
sure, because you didn't get
yeah,
the other one.
because it was pretty soon after but I remember seeing the flyer and being like, damn, like, you know what I mean? I was like, this band is just like fucking it up,
Yeah, man.
but I do want to see them live someday. Of course, like I would love to see them live.
Have you, knowing that the other guys in the band are, and I certainly wouldn't want you to like pass off their story or their experience as yours,
Mhm.
but have you heard at all about like their experience of that day, or did they get the opportunity to connect with the Deftones at all?
Um, I don't really remember. I think the only thing I can remember is I think Chino like running to get to the stage or something, and maybe Anthony being like, "Yo, thanks for having us," and him being like, "You're welcome," and running on the stage. That's the only thing I can think of. And just hearing about the other bands that played. I heard Horror was just amazing, because they
Yeah,
played,
that's right.
and Doja Cat played. I heard she was great, and I heard Mike Shinoda's covered or not covered is his fucking song played in the end, and it was extremely emotional. I
Yeah,
love Linkin Park, so just the thought like I wish I had been there to see all of that. I just heard it was a really really cool experience.
yeah, that was a special
So,
day. Mike Shinoda's, you hit it on the nose too. That Mike
yeah.
Shinoda performance was heavy, and it's really cool to think about in hindsight too. Like that setting in downtown San Diego, it's like just outside of that baseball park, is so phenomenal.
Oh
But
yeah.
the stage where Vane played
Mm.
was like in the middle of a street. It was it was like a block party.
I had heard. All right, now I'm remembering a little bit. Yeah, I heard that it was like kind of a weird situation.
It was a little weird. It was a little weird. There were like vendors and stuff, like different types of. It was cool, but it was almost like playing like a street carnival.
You're playing like a local carnival or something.
Yeah, a little bit. But that vibe was so cool. And the next year they moved the stage, the second stage, to a different spot. And I feel like it was sort of it wasn't as great. I feel like it was a little weirder and more narrow in a different, I don't know, it was a different space. It had a little bit of a different vibe, that stage. And like I said, like Vane and Doja Cat played that stage together on the same day. It was like,
yeah,
such a trip. And Vows played that day. It was like such an eclectic. It was cool. It was really cool.
No, I think it's cool that, Deftones picked like such different artists. I mean, Horror and Bane and Doja Cat and Vows.
Yeah, I forget how crazy Horror was. That dude was in like a jumpsuit and then he was nearly nude. Like,
that's cool. I've never seen them live before, but I think they've played LA quite a bit. I just miss them again. Something I took for granted. Just shows happening all the time.
And you're in LA and the rest of the guys are in Massachusetts, right?
Yeah, I'm from out here, so yeah, I just fly out there when there's a thing to practice for or something.
Time to work.
When it's time to work, and it's been time to work, but there's been a pandemic too, so I've done some stuff from home.
Have you been able to? That was going to be my next question. If you, not knowing when this podcast is going to be released, are you guys cooking?
We're cooking. Maybe it's been cooked. I don't know.
Oh shit! That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, I don't want to reveal too much, but I'll just leave it at that.
That's cool, man. I'll take it. I appreciate it. Well, the way that I like to conclude every conversation is with a request for recommendations. And it's based on something that Chino said on a podcast, that the only reason he tweets out YouTube links to songs that he likes is because he thinks that's the coolest thing that he could share with somebody who follows him on Twitter. So in that spirit, put me on to 3 things. Anything, old, new. It doesn't have to be music. It could be
3
anything.
things. Wow.
Just 3 things that you think are dope.
Okay, well, I guess I'll just pick out some things that I've been listening to. My favorite album during this whole pandemic has been Out From Out Where by Amon Tobin. He's an insane electronic producer and has been doing stuff since the 90s. Check him out. That album, I think some of the songs were featured on some Toonami bumps in the early 2000s. He's worked with them quite a bit. It's dope. Wow. I have so many in my head, it's fucking me up. Miso by DJ Crush is another one that I just found the CD and it's been living in my car and on my iPhone. That's a great one. Oh my God. I'm so on the spot.
Nobody likes this question. Just to be fair, nobody likes this question.
All right. I mean, I feel like typically I would because I love recommending music. It's all I do. But Jesus Christ. Okay, I'll just say one. All right, everybody, go listen to "Super Tight" by UGK. Everybody, I'm sure a lot of people know the album, but I use it to when I write my own songs. I take a lot from listening to UGK albums, and Super Tight is an incredible one. So Amon Tobin, DJ Crush, and UGK. Go listen to him.
That's cool. Benno Levine from Vane. Tremendous dude. Thank you, Benno. I am extremely grateful to you for kicking it with me and talking Deftones. I really loved what Benno said about Error Zone, that it made him insecure. I think that's pretty dope. And rare, I think, when music you enjoy makes you uncomfortable. That said, I think Ohms is masterful in this way. The unusual song structures, the eerie vibes, and yet you still want to wiggle your butt. Because like I've said before, that shit is a dance album. You will not convince me otherwise. But that's cool. It's good to be uncomfortable, insecure, vulnerable. Vane certainly did that with Error Zone. And I am really looking forward to sharing my conversation with Vane's singer, Anthony DiDio, later this season. He's a huge Deftones fan. Changing the House of Pods is available wherever you get your podcasts. Please like and subscribe. Coming up, I have conversations with Jeremy Boehm from Touche Amore, Jonah Matranga, and some great fan conversations, including one with my buddy Miguel where I get him pretty drunk. It was awesome. My name is Woody. If you want to reach me, I'm at Woodbruh on Twitter and Instagram, WOODBRUH. Hit me up. Thank you for listening to Deftones, and thank you for listening to Change in the House of Pods.